Hello. How are you doing, you cool cats and kittens? It's been a long time since we did that one.
The desire to say that.
Stop attack!
Hello and welcome to Entertain This, a podcast about movies, TV shows, and video games. My name is Hayden, and with me I have...
Tom.
And Mitch.
Hi, Mitch.
Hi.
And today we are talking about Star Trek, The Next Generations.
Isn't it just Next Generation?
Yeah, we can just...
There's no S, it's not
I
plural.
sound like my mom. The Krogers.
Going down to the Krogers and the Walmarts.
But before we do that, Mitchell, would you do the social media?
Oh, the social media. Yeah.
This is like the
We're good.
ASMR episode.
There's
It's super late. I'm tired.
People are tired. I'm 2 beers deep.
our social media is entertainthispodcast.com, which will take you to our Facebook group and page. Our group is Entertain This Podcast on Facebook. You also have the Entertain This page on Facebook. You have our Twitter, which is
At
@this.entertain. We also have our YouTube, which is Entertain This with the exclamation point. We have our Twitter. I mean, not our Twitter, our Twitch.
Which is entertain_this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we have our Patreon, which is patreon.com/entertain_this.
All right.
Give us money.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
10 likes and I'll save this kitten.
So, since you appear flustered and tired and firing on 4 out of 8 cylinders, Mitch, you had a punishment, but it did not go well.
Well, it's not my fault. I blame the person.
All right, let's not get all bogged down on
What was your punishment?
Urban Myths, the Michael Jackson story.
Okay.
It's actually just called Urban Myths Michael Jackson, but
And did you watch it?
what was available, which
Okay.
was a trailer.
So apparently this episode of Urban Myths is so bad it's been scrubbed from existence.
Well, it never even aired.
Oh, really?
Apparently.
When they saw after they saw the trailer, Michael Jackson's some of his family members complained, and basically they just decided not to air it.
Oof.
What is there to complain about?
I think his daughter Paris I think is her name, complained that it made her want to vomit, and that if she's offended by it, so many other people would be. I'm like,
As if the man himself in person wasn't enough.
Did you read at least like a synopsis of it or something like that?
yes. Basically, it's it's a 30-minute episode for this Urban Myths, which is like a UK docu-series kind of thing, which they kind of do spoofs. They says it's a true-ish documentary
Is this like
series.
drunk history or something?
Kind of, I guess. They just take stories that people have told, like celebrities, and turn it into a...
It's like Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories.
But essentially, this was supposed to be Michael Jackson is taking a road trip from New York to Ohio during one of his... I guess his 30-year celebration concerts or something.
Okay.
And this was right after 9/11. So that's why they were driving. He was riding from New York to Ohio with Elizabeth Taylor and Marlon Brando.
That is a group. I would like to have seen that happen in real life.
I wonder if Elizabeth Taylor knew what was going on.
I wonder if Brando had enough food for the trip.
Well, neither one of these people were actually in the show.
Oh,
That's just who it was supposed to be that he was with.
okay.
The people in the show, I forgot the name of the guy and the girl, but the guy that plays, quote unquote Michael Jackson is Joseph Fiennes.
Yeah, right. Ralph Fiennes, Voldemort's brother.
Yeah, he was in The Handmaid's Tale. That's like his biggest claim to fame, really. So.
Never heard of it.
Sure.
They were mad because people had a white person portraying Michael Jackson.
Uh-huh.
Now, granted, his pigmentation was a little different when he was older, when this story was taking place. But
At the time this is supposed to be taking place, it would be on par.
But his family was claiming he had a pigmentation disease. I had heard that he'd had his pigmentation altered when he was younger, but who knows?
I don't know.
But the whole thing was like it was designed to be a comedy, and it was portrayed that way. But evidently they didn't like it because who was portraying Michael Jackson. They said it would be offensive.
Oh. So it's just these 3 weird celebrities on a road trip.
Yeah, like this one episode is. And then the next episode, some other story about somebody else. Like they have one where they got Ewan Gregor, the guy that plays Ramsey Bolton.
Okay.
There's one story where he's Hitler.
Wow.
For some story.
So they're just like,
just going for it.
Yeah.
Throw darts at a spinning wheel of
All right,
weirdness.
the guy who played Ramsey Bolton in Game of Thrones, he is Pol Pot.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. That's an episode. Cut it.
Now, after they accused Fiennes and all of them about this being bad, he kind of doubled down on his idea that it wasn't bad. He said that, like his quote said that at the time he was a lighter shade of, or he was whiter, or sorry, he was darker than Jackson at the point in Jackson's life. At this point, so he didn't really improve his status when it came to
Probably not.
offensive. So
That was a swing for the fence.
This
Yeah.
episode is wrong because of the race stuff and whatever. But I mean, like I saw a little bit of the trailer or whatever that was, and his makeup looked terrible. I mean, granted, Michael Jackson isn't
Looked terrible.
Yeah, it doesn't look the best, post multiple.
But I mean, like
surgeries.
nobody gave a crap in like was it the scary movies where his like nose falls off and
Yeah.
like nobody cared that was offensive and he was still alive when that.
I mean-
yeah, he looks like a
these aren't Michael Jackson.
Those aren't Michael Jackson.
These are all impersonators.
What?
Seriously?
That's got to be
that one had to be him.
All right, that one's
No.
not.
All right, that one no.
That's him in the show that they're supposed to
Yeah.
be portraying.
See,
I can't even tell the difference.
they had to use CG to hide his brother's nose. So I mean, look at that giant schnoz they're trying to put behind makeup.
But yeah, I went through and looked, and all of these are impersonators. But they look pretty much just like him.
Yeah.
They look exactly like him. Some of those I'm pretty sure are him.
I had to double check. These are impersonators that had done makeup
Man,
or whatever
but-
to look like him. But
They did a really good job.
it was
They could have fooled me.
it was produced by Sky Productions.
Yeah, that's a British thing.
Yeah.
It's like they're, I don't know.
I mean, even the minuscule British stuff I know, I'd never heard of anything.
Gangs of London. Have you heard of that show? I think that's on. That started on Sky.
They've done quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
They're a bigger thing over there, obviously. I mean, we're out of the loop over here across the pond. As
the
they call it.
trailer looked bad.
What would you rate the trailer?
So you can't rate it, but you search, you try to find stuff. You said when you said I couldn't find it anywhere. It's been no.
Taken down,
I-
it wasn't even released.
I Googled, I was like, this episode of Urban Myths, and I went through and it was like, why you're never allowed to watch this. And all these websites were like, you can watch this clip or whatever, but basically the episode never exists. I was like, nah.
There is one pretty funny part where you see, like in the trailer, you see the guy that's supposed to be Michael Jackson, like tiptoeing across the road and just off into the woods.
This is like that Sarah Jessica Parker episode of South Park.
Oh, yeah, the evil donkey witch. Matthew, Mr. Broderick, are you aware that you're married to an evil donkey witch? Come on, guys. Let's be professional.
So, yeah, I can't really rate it because I couldn't watch it, but there's a reason.
Well, honestly, sometimes the worst part of punishments is trying to find the content to watch. So.
Yes, sometimes the hardest part, or the funniest part of the whole punishment is just trying to get it to stream or find it somewhere.
I went through YouTube. I even tried to find just like the UK like stuff on like Netflix or anything like that, just to see what the whole series was about, and I couldn't find any. Like I couldn't find those on Netflix and stuff. So,
Well. All right. Well, you're off the hook there, Mitchell.
yay.
All right. Let's talk about movies.
I watched a movie.
What movie did you watch, sir?
I watched Lancaster Skies.
Let me guess. It's a British film.
How'd you guess?
It's kind
You
of
all right there, Mitch? Trying to get it all over my tablecloth.
What did this come out in the 70s?
No, this came out in 2019.
No way. It's a modern film.
Yes,
Look
I
at
know,
you.
right? Well, it was free to watch on Amazon.
Sky.
On Amazon, yeah. But it was like, oh, movies you might be interested in. I'm going through. I'm like, I saw it. Oh, I haven't seen this. What's this about? Oh, this came out in 2019. I will watch this movie.
All right. So what's it about?
It's about a World War II. He's a Spitfire pilot who has a troubled past from the war.
Mm-hmm.
It still takes place during the war, but he gets transferred from, the fighter squadrons to Bomber Command and flies one of the Lancaster bombers, Lancaster Skies. the title.
No way.
And the one thing, like, I watched the movie and I was like, I don't believe this is, World War II Britain.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw how much their budget was, I was shocked at how well they pulled off as much as they could.
Is there anybody famous in it?
I mean, they're probably famous in England.
Oh, okay.
But none of them I knew.
Feature-length film?
Yep. Their budget was $80,000.
Dang.
Wow.
You can't even get
Or
a
80,000
Spitfire
pounds.
plane for them. Like,
No.
What do they do? Like build
They
out
used
cardboard?
models that they digitally enhanced for, which, I mean, some of the shots looked actually pretty solid when they showed like the exteriors of the plane. You could see like they used every cent of that budget well for costumes, for like little props, the little things they did really well.
$80,000.
It was
just think like
they did a whole movie.
you'd have to like not pay your crew anything.
It's a project.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, there was a lot of little like subtle nuance stuff, like their uniforms, watches, the cigarette packs. There was like a lot of little stuff that looked very period.
so knowing that it's a small budget, like a virtually non-existent budget movie.
I appreciated the movie after I found out how much the budget was.
Do you think that that's a good enough excuse to give a movie like a bonus points or something like that?
I'd give it if I gave it a 5 out of 10 after I had found out, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. 'Cause it was an all right movie because like their bomber captain, he gets killed in like the beginning of the movie in their first mission, or one of their many missions. And this dude, replaces him, and the squad doesn't like him, and he's got to win him over. And I'm like, I don't really care about any of these characters. The building between all of them is just like, eh.
So the writing was, meh.
I mean, it was all right. It's a 5 out of 10 movie. It was worth the watch. Like I wasn't bored the entire time.
Let's be honest. When I think of a movie that I want to rate, I don't care what the budget is. I think about, if I have so-and-so watch this movie, because they're not going to care what the budget is. They're not going to care, the historical value or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going to be like, that's a terrible movie, or I'm not into it the way that you are.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think on like a general audience consensus,
I think from a general audience consensus, it would probably get like a 3 out of 10.
Oof. All right. But you appreciate it for the history.
I do appreciate it for the history.
And them pulling dollars out their butt.
I mean, they stretched the buck.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how the guy did it. Apparently, it was done by, he just graduated. The director, his name's like Callum Byrne.
Oh, so he knew a bunch of people that wanted a job, and they could use this as a resume.
Probably.
I mean, I give the guy credit. I mean, he put together a feature-length movie with some decent effects for $80,000.
Hey, it's making money because it got put on a service. So
Yeah, it was on Amazon.
Yeah, he probably already made a budget off of it. I mean, I'm sure Amazon was like $80,000. Okay,
That's how much money you need? All right.
shake our couches out. We'll get him something.
Yeah, hey, let me check my pocket. See, I'm pretty sure I got that line
I'm sure
around.
like 5 people have watched that. Sure.
There is, brief moments where the acting seems really good, but the one thing, it's a movie and a premise that's supposedly based on a true story, but it could have, I think with a little better writing, more budget, this could have actually been a really solid movie.
Yeah, I wonder, because I'm thinking like from a production standpoint, wouldn't it be better to shoot like a 30-minute kind of proof of concept for $80,000 and see if you get picked up?
Well, that's your area of expertise.
I would just but I don't know. The film industry is so different in England. It seems like they'll do a lot more
with a lot less.
Well, they'll do a lot more projects that wouldn't typically be picked up in England and stuff. So that's why
or
they have
definitely probably here.
They have some pretty strange.
I mean, there's a limited number of actors. A lot of the sets are very close in space.
Yeah,
and like even when they show like them in the plane, you could tell it's
so stuff they could probably do on set or something.
A lot of stuff was mostly done on set.
Okay,
and like even like when they're flying or whatever, and like their stuff, it's not like in Top Gun where they're actually in the cockpits of F-14s, sitting on like the.
Did they ever have a shot where you see a plane taking off?
Yes. They actually have one where they're sitting in the plane, like looking out the window, and they're checking off and starting the engine. So I'm assuming they might have gotten with like some historical society that still had them, that were still airworthy, that could fire up the engines.
That's cool. I mean, if anything, that's just impressive that they were able to pull all that off. Mm-hmm.
when I read about the production for it, I was more impressed by what I watched.
Yeah.
Knowing like man, they did that with this much.
Yeah.
Like, good for you guys. It's like it wasn't a great movie. It wasn't bad, but
Nifty.
it was a little impressive. I mean, it was one of the first movies I watched after doing this show where I started seeing more technical aspects of film.
Right.
Where I was more appreciative of the production value and the lengths they went to make stuff work.
Right. Yeah.
Versus big spectacles and effects and
that's cool for us because I'd say we're more than the average bear as far as reviewing for movies and stuff, but I think that doesn't work for the average bear.
No, I think like on some of their ratings they had like a 4 out of 10. I think the highest rating I saw was like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
On various outlets.
Well, what news do you have for us?
So apparently there's been some talk about Dave Bautista starting up this Gears of War thing after this interview came out.
Ooh, a movie? Is he going to play Dom?
No,
He wants to play Marcus Phoenix, even though he looks like
it'll be a
Dom.
Netflix series, or Netflix movie. That's what I saw.
Well, he tried to pitch it because they offered him Fast and Furious, and he said no, he didn't want to do it. He wants to do Gears of War.
Yeah.
Kept trying to pitch it. Well, apparently this just came out the other day that Netflix is trying to buy the rights to do Gears of War as a movie.
And I would say,
or at least just get the rights.
If they could do stuff to the production value that they're doing, stuff like Army of the Dead and things like that, I could see how it could work. But depends on.
I think Gears of War would work better as a series.
Probably.
I don't think it would be as good as a movie.
I think it would too, because you would need to flesh out some of the characters, like backstories and stuff, to make them more.
I don't know.
But I don't like Dave Bautista playing Marcus Phoenix. I look at him and I'm like, you're Dom.
Right.
Like you look like him.
I don't know the characters from Gears of War that well, but
I played the first two. That's about it. But they'd have to do CG for the bad guys. There's no way that they could have a guy in a suit.
I think for some of the locusts they could do practical. Because some of them are,
because you can make them kind of similar to the Suicide Squad alligator guy.
Aren't they like 4 feet taller than everybody else or something?
They're same size. Well, the regular soldiers are.
Yeah, some like the regular, your run-of-the-mill,
yeah,
blow them to pieces, bad guys in Gears, they were roughly the same size as people.
And there's some that are like 9-10 foot tall.
So how did this come out? Did Dave Bautista himself come out to his social media?
He said this in like an interview that he had tried to start Gears of War.
No studio has said that they are.
Well, apparently Gears of War has been in like production hell since like 2007.
Yeah, so is Halo, because everybody knows you can't make a movie out of a video game.
Oh,
so.
You heard it here first.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you heard it here last week and the week before, probably.
Probably
last year. But
we'll see what happens. Netflix may just be like, sure, whatever.
I mean, if Netflix they want to sign Dave Bautista on to do a Gears of War series, I'm sure they'll make money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, people would watch it.
I'd watch it. I mean, I like playing the first Gears of War if they're faithful to the games. And
a series is a lot to ask for, though. Like if it's 8 hours of content, you're just gonna be like through the first hour. I don't know if it's bad. I wouldn't watch any more of that. So that's just me though.
But I hope if they do it, they don't spend like an episode and a half on world building. Like Gears of War has been out long enough. People who play the game, we know the story.
Is 2069.
Just jump into the crap where the world's pretty much over. The locusts are winning. Here are the cogs. Go. Yes. It's like Dave Bautista.
One big action movie.
Which is kind of weird because he's in Gears of War 5 as like a DLC playable character.
Well, because he's a big fan of the games and stuff, so that's why he wanted the show and movie. And
the games are okay.
You know who they get to play Baird? Or who they should? Stephen Amell.
Don't you have to be like yoked? Aren't like all those dudes just as wide as they are tall?
They're bigger than Dave Batista is.
Yeah.
They're like bigger than The Rock.
Well, I read the article too, and Batista said this would give him a reason to work his weight back up to like 320, like he used to be.
He's like 50 years old.
Yeah.
Stop making me feel bad about myself. All you old people
getting swole
with your amazing bodies.
Vince McMahon over there is his 70 to 80-year-old self on Men's Fitness magazine.
Benching 450 like it ain't nothing.
Bathing in virgin blood or whatever they're doing.
Whatever these.
All right, TVs.
Well, I started to watch Jupiter's Legacy.
How is that?
It's not bad.
I've heard good things about it.
But I didn't, because on our website we got a recommendation or a suggestion wanting us to watch somebody to review The Chosen. And it's Nod
Yeah.
was the guy's name. I'm guessing that's your dad?
Yes, that's my dad. He's been trying to get me to watch this show for a while.
Nub.
It's it's actually a really good show. I mean, granted, it's more my taste than would be yours.
I mean, I'm not huge into religious TV.
But it's a really, surprisingly, a really good, film. Like, it doesn't look cheesy like some shows that like I've watched like the Facing the Giants and Courageous and all those movies.
Yeah.
And you can tell the production value is just not quite up to par as normal movies. This is actually really well done.
Have you
I'm 4 episodes in.
Have you read about the production history for this?
They said that I know it's the largest crowd-funded media project of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It started out with like $44 million.
Is this the show you're telling me about where Jesus and like forming the apostles?
Yeah. Like he's basically it's his first time meeting them, and it's from their point of view instead of his.
Okay.
So like Mary meets him, while she's still possessed. You have Matthew and his brother, and then James and John out fishing when they first meet him, and just different things like that. That's as far as I've gotten so far. But
do they do it like Magnificent Seven style?
They all ride off in the sunset.
Well, they kind of come together. But I forgot the guy's name. But who was the old man in The Mummy that plays like the museum?
Oh yeah,
curator.
He's like some. He's always some random Middle Eastern guy.
He plays Nicodemus, which is like the what you call it?
He's like an old priest.
Yeah,
I know. I can picture his face, but I just don't know his name.
But yeah, he's Nicodemus in this, which you see stuff from his point of view as well. And really the only complaint I have about the show so far,
prophet, that's what he is.
It's got like it has shaky cam when they're neat. Like I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I just don't think they have the stabilizer equipment.
Yeah.
Because like people will be standing still and like they'll do a zoom in and like it's a slow zoom in, but you can like see that it's kind of moving just slightly.
Yeah, I read a little bit about it that it they were battling with the weather and all sorts of stuff, and they had all sorts of issues where for the most part, a lot of weird things happen to make the show possible, but they'd have to kind of run and gun to make stuff happen. The shots.
But I read where like they said that each script before they put it on into production that they have like the actual biblical scholars that have researched the history and everything kind of go over to make sure they're staying true to the source as much as possible. I think at the beginning of the show it gives you like a disclaimer that like some of the locations and the time frame of things have been kind of merged to where it makes the show more fluid. Mm-hmm. But it's really good. The setting and the costumes look really well. The very first episode they have kind of a green screen where the girl Mary is standing on a cliff and like the water below it looks like it's green screen.
Can tell, yeah.
But other than that, it's really good.
Their second season's coming out.
It's got 4 episodes out
already, and like that, the budget for that one's even bigger.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that. Like I said, I've only seen the first 4 episodes so far, but I'm probably going to watch the rest of them because my wife likes watching them too. So
where can you watch this on?
You can watch the first season on the Peacock app for NBC. And they actually have their own app. It's called The Chosen. You can look for it on like Google stuff, and it's free, and it has all the episodes for free.
Oh, sweet.
It's got all the episodes. It's got the extras. It's got ways that you can, if you wanted to support, you can click on the little thing and donate money so they can do more. And then it's got like stuff to where you can share it, for free and everything with anybody else.
Interesting. Well, so let's say. I'm a person who doesn't really know the biblical stories or care about church and religion and stuff like that. Would you think just the story by themselves be interesting enough for any random person to watch it?
I think if you can get through the first episode, it gets a lot more interesting. The first episode's kind of slow because they're introducing you to the characters, which, if you're not too familiar with like the book and stuff, right. It's going to be a little hard to get into, but if you can get through that first episode, it really picks up with like introducing the characters, what they're doing, why they're there.
But it doesn't come off as preachy or anything like that.
No, it has its moments where it's it kind of gives like the uplifting messages and stuff. It does have parts where Jesus is like preaching to a crowd, but it's you're Matthew walking up and seeing him preach, so it's not like it's just preaching directly to you, telling you this or that.
Interesting.
It's really good. It's neat.
Yeah, I watched an episode with my parents, and because they've been wanting me to review this forever on the podcast, and
you didn't even do it. Mitch did.
Thanks, Mitch.
Hey, but if people put suggestions on here for us to review, as long as it's content okay to be talking about on here,
yeah.
I have no problem reviewing it.
There you go. All right, well, cool. So you give it a what out of what?
IMDb actually gives it like a 9.7 out of 10 with like 15,000 ratings.
Ooh.
So I'd probably give it a 9 just to be fair, because of some of the little
Effects,
technical issues.
yeah.
I mean, you can't give it a perfect score. I really enjoyed it.
I don't want to be that guy, but the church has impressive power. Like they probably review, like, what's the opposite of review bomb? They probably had, churches going out there and say,
the whole Vatican.
You have to go out and click, 10 out of 10 and stuff like that.
Maybe not, but I would give it a 9 because for what it is, the production value is really good, other than just the two things that I told you about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a good show, especially for a Bible show. But
it's got to be better than Batwoman.
There's yeah. So, all right, cool. Well, what news do you have for us?
Well, I have like several small news. I don't have a whole big thing, but there's going to be a show called Heels on Stars, which is going to have Stephen Amell and Alexander Ludwig, which he's the guy that plays the star of Vikings once the main character is gone.
Okay.
He's like the guy's son that grows up.
Is this the wrestling show?
Yeah. It's about two brothers who are going to war over their father's small town Georgia wrestling promotion, which it's kind of a dramedy, they said.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yes, it does,
That was
doesn't it?
a pitch we were working on.
But
whatever.
Yeah, it's supposed to be kind of the drama between them, but it's a comedy as well, because one's the bad guy, one's the good guy, so they have to portray their parts.
But they're brothers.
God, it's so weird how that stuff happens.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. On Disney Plus, they're going to have the Marvel What If. It comes out in August, which will be like one of the examples they have is like, what if Peggy Carter had gotten the super soldier serum instead of Steve Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
Or like the Marvel Zombies, that kind of thing.
Is it going to be animated?
Yeah, it's all animated.
Or is it what they call motion comics?
As far as I know, it's going to be animated. And they're supposed to be using like the real voice cast of the actual characters and stuff.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's kind of like maybe it's kind of like the Dragon Ball where it's more cell shaded kind of animation.
Okay.
Now. But I'm interested to see that because I like the what if storylines from the comics.
Yeah.
Then Friends is going to have their reunion show on HBO Max.
They've been talking about that forever.
It comes out on May 27th.
We gives a pig's ass about that.
Hey, I do. I love that show. Titans Season 3 comes out on HBO Max, which they're finally going to have Red Hood and Tim Drake, which is the second and third Robin. It'll be them actually showing up now. Well, he was in the second season.
Oh, he was.
And that's when Dick Grayson actually becomes Nightwing in that season. So, and then just a little controversy for you, Tom, specifically.
Oh, God.
Mortal Kombat, Ludi Lin, which is the guy that played Liu Kang, he's calling out the Lord of the Rings show for their lack of diversity.
Uh-oh.
Cool.
He says they're not diverse enough in Middle Earth. Like
then don't go there.
Like Mortal Kombat was.
Like Mortal Kombat was.
Yeah.
Compare a video game
to one of the greatest series of stories ever told that's been like made into like what, 30-something languages?
There wasn't so much news. I saw that.
I saw the article too, and I was just like, shut up.
Liu Kang. He's the bad guy, right?
No,
he's a bad guy now. He's a bad guy now.
Oh, he's a bad guy now. All right.
I just thought it was funny.
It's like, oh, this isn't diverse enough. It's like, you know what? Who cares?
Oh.
Don't watch it then.
I had video games.
You did. What'd you play?
I played Resident Evil, the 7th one.
Biohazard.
Yeah, Biohazard.
Not the 8th one everybody's all about.
I did play the 8th one. So I will do a joint video game review on
back to back.
I beat them both. Let's start.
Oh, you already played both of them all the way through? Wow.
All the way through.
You had a lot of time, huh?
Well, I mean, the first one.
You really weren't that busy, huh?
The first one I beat in 16 hours, and the second one I beat in maybe like 15.
Okay.
It wasn't. They're not long games, and I grew up on puzzle action adventure games like Zelda and stuff like that. So, I don't think I was ever really stumped. And it's basically just like an obstacle that I have to go around to get to the bad guy that I need to kill. That's essentially, but they're fun. You sit there and like,
All right, so what's the premise of the 7th one?
So there's this house in Louisiana, and it's okay. So Ethan Winters is the guy's name, the main character. His wife disappeared in someplace Louisiana
3 years ago.
Yeah. So he goes to find her.
3 years later.
There's a reason why it's 3 years ago. I can try.
What, he ran out of money?
No, she took a job, and you're not supposed to know that. But long story short, she sends a video to him, and she's like, "Don't help me, I'm here." like that's what it is. Like, don't come and find me, but this is where I'm at. And
the divorce papers are in the mail.
But so he's like, "Oh, I want to go save her." So he drives to and they do the whole like Evil Dead slowly going into the gate thing, driving his car. His car stops and he gets out and walks creepishly to the house. This house is like the biggest redneck mansion ever made.
It's a mobile home on.
No, it's like plywood and
it's like Labyrinth meets Bill and Ted's like redneck cousins.
Dale and Tucker versus
Dale and Tucker. Yeah,
it's them versus like the Labyrinth.
So, anyways, you go inside.
Sold on the premise.
This hillbilly dude abducts you and chops off your hand in the beginning.
That happens when you're fighting your wife.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Your wife, you find your wife. She goes crazy. She chops off your hand.
With a chainsaw.
Yeah. Well, anyways.
This is not a good marriage.
So you just survive in this house with this crazy family.
How you get your hand back?
You just put it back on.
You put it back on, and they staple it.
Yeah, you just staple it back on.
Like it's completely off, and then he just puts it on a staple.
There's even an explanation for that. I'll get to that later. But the short of it is like there's 4 people in the family member: the dad, the mom, the crazy son, and the not crazy daughter who just wants to escape, and then your wife that they keep locked up in the basement. So. You start out, you get introduced to everybody, and then you escape and you try and rescue your wife and figure out what's going on. So it starts out in this house, then it goes to a ship that's been crashed off of like the beach.
Yeah, in like a bayou kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And then
they got gators in the bayou.
Yeah, and then you go to the salt mines.
I forgot about the salt mines. Yeah,
and then there's like a lab with like where they do this like whole jigsaw thing, from the movies. Anyways, as far as scary goes, it was meh. It wasn't terribly scary,
Predictable.
Yeah.
At points.
Except for the
you're
bug
like,
lady.
You can tell when like all the tense music stops and you're walking into a room, you're like, oh, something's gonna jump out of me.
Here it comes. There you are.
Yeah, but like the gore was unnecessary sometimes, like to the point like where are all these
it was a paper cut.
Yeah. Where are all these organs coming from, and then the thing that drives me nuts is like 22 people go missing in this small town in Louisiana and nobody thinks to like
call the cops,
like get like the FBI involved or something like that.
Check the creepy redneck mansion.
And I'll tell you kill a lot more than 22 zombies. They're not zombies, they're like they're called the molded.
So this is like Resident Evil True Detective season 1.
No. Just because it takes place in Louisiana, True Detective. Don't insult True Detective like that. There's
some weird nonsense in True Detective,
but it likes is like coherent. Like this is like if you took the most bonkers anime plot and then threw it into Louisiana, that would be it. So
this is just Louisiana on a Saturday.
Does it ever explain how these people are the way they are?
Yeah. So long story short, and this is probably a spoiler, but.
Well, this game's been out, so.
Umbrella from the old Resident Evil days is gone. They have a new organization called The Connection. Stupid, ominous, simple.
I was going to say, it's not called Raincoat.
Yeah, Raincoat. Well, actually, there's a blue umbrella now. All right, but they're the good guys.
Oh,
okay.
Because it's blue.
Yeah. Well, but anyways, The Connections has been working with this new mold that they found that makes people turn into zombies, but whatever. They're just gross looking. Looks like they're like charcoal but wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just look like poop.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And they
Just all black.
sneak around, bite you and stuff all the time. That's the worst part is like I play with my headphones on, so it's surround sound. But your own damn footprint, you're just like, and I'm like, my own feet.
You're like running around like,
Now I watched him play a part, and when he like his character would move, and then like it's like a delayed you'd hear after he moved. It's like what?
I always think somebody's sneaking up on me.
God,
so
will a game ever master footprints?
No. They must have done like a billion different foot recording sound effects because like I always like my 1 feet would sound like I'm in high heels, high heels, and their foot would be like
steel toe boots,
whatever,
and then a Clydesdale.
Yeah, and I'm like, what is walking around me? It's my own feet.
All right, so,
but anyways, yeah, that game is okay.
What would you rate the game?
6.5.
All right.
But
does this segue into Resident Evil 8?
Yes, it does. But there's DLCs. I got to talk about how stupid the DLCs are.
Did you play those too?
I did. I got it all for free.
How'd you have time to do this?
I mean, I was done early doing my other job. But anyways, long story short, the first DLC you play is Chris, and you really appreciate how much of a BA Chris is after playing as Ethan Winters, the wuss. You know, he just is always like, my hand got cut off. Where's the stapler? But does anybody have any Scotch tape? But when you play as Chris Redfield, he comes in with like guns and all sorts of stuff, explosives. You get bit by a zombie, and he'll just punch the zombie's head off, just decapitate him with a punch. And you're like, oh, okay.
That's what you get for biting me.
This is playing as a real man now. I understand it. All right, cool.
I get it now.
And then you go and you
succumb to the poison.
And then the daughter of the family that wants to escape, she's trying to escape, and then out of nowhere, Uncle Joe shows up. Okay, he's like a guest lives next door. I don't know. Anyways, he shows up. These two, one of their Chris's agents, they try to rescue her, and Uncle Joe just punches him out. He takes him out. And then
Uncle Joe ain't having it.
Yeah, no. He's like, quick, get off her. I'm going to rescue her. Well, she's infected, whatever. You got to find an antidote, blah, 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 plot device. But Uncle Joe don't use guns. He runs around and punches zombies. So you have to learn these combos to punch zombies in the face.
So this becomes Street Fighter Zombie Edition.
It was the dumbest DLC. It was so stupid.
I'm so riveted.
Oh, my goodness. Just watch him play through. Like his health is he eats critters. So he like opens up a tree bark and grabs a centipede and eats it, or sucks down some freaking crawdads or whatever.
Or there's a run over possum in there in the street.
This is the most dumb, redneck, stupid, whatever. But so, anyways, fast forward 3 years in the future, Ethan Winters and his wife Mia have been transplanted to someplace in Europe, whatever.
A lot of couples counseling, I hope.
Chris Redfield shows up, shoots his wife, just murders him right there. Bow! They have a baby, and he snatches the baby, and he's being ready to run out. And Ethan's like, no, and Chris punches him, and he gets knocked out. And then they take him to...
I don't like this Ethan guy.
Yeah, he's a little wussy. Except, all right, so this game, he gets his other hand cut off. You know what he does?
He pours the stuff on it and just goes...
Yeah,
I saw that. I watched a playthrough of most of Resident Evil 8.
Yeah, I mean, I'll explain after we cut the feed here why he can do that, so I don't spoil anything. But this Transylvania place that they're at, it's called, I don't know, I already forgot. But
I know it's called the Village, but
yeah, that's the Village. But they got werewolves. Yep, like werewolves and some
and a 9'6" tall
vampire
woman.
lady.
The internet lost their mind over.
Yeah,
there's already like mods.
The fly swatter mod.
I was fixing to say, how many times did you watch that or see that happen? Could you do that, or was that just
I was researching Resident Evil, and all I saw was the fly swatter mod, and I was like, okay, that's very nice. I want to know more about this game. But yeah, it's definitely, if you ever played Resident Evil 4, which in my opinion is the best Resident Evil game, it's a lot more like that. Resident Evil 9, 8. What is it? 8? This is 8. Yeah. 8 is a lot better like that because it's not so much prone on. I mean, 7 was more about like inventory management, making sure that you have ammo, because like you'll walk into a room with 3 bullets and that's all you got. This one's like, you know,
break that vase, get that ammo.
Yeah, this one's like, well, anybody that you kill will drop something. So, you know, you have your options are, you know, should I use the grenade launcher or should I use the fully automatic machine gun or whatever?
Yeah.
You know, like you don't get that.
Good options, huh?
Yeah, in the other games. So 8's fun. It got stupid. I will say though, like for it being less scary than 7, which it for the most part is, there's one part. It's the baby scene. I don't know how to explain this, but like you're running from a giant sluggish-looking fetus thing, and whatever the level happens, plot ensues, and your whole inventory gets taken out. So you have nothing to defend yourself because Ethan doesn't punch because he's not a man.
He's a sissy.
So you're literally hiding in a locker, and like you hear him like stifling his breath, like, and like the baby thing is like giggling like a baby as it crosses in front of the locker and stuff like that, and you're just like, ugh. Leaving like a little embryonic snail trail behind it or something like that. Yeah, it's very gory and gross, and that's like the sound effects, all the squelching and stuff. I hate that stuff.
I watched a lot of playthroughs of like the castle bit.
Yeah,
with the tall lady.
Yeah, that's only a third of the game.
Yeah, literally every single one I watched, they were just like slay me. Like they were like this dude ran at her. It was like take me.
Yeah,
I don't get it, but. Some 9'6" woman just broke the internet.
I just burned through that game, and then it was stupid. The final boss was weird. I don't know. Anyways, so I give that one a 6.5. Yeah.
What
both of them.
News haveth thee?
Battlefield 6.
There's that game.
Yeah. So
it's coming out.
They're talking about not having a campaign for it, multiplayer only. And it'll be a multiplayer only at launch.
I didn't know Battlefield had a campaign.
Did Battlefield 4 have one?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess some people are mad about that. I don't care. I probably wouldn't play it.
I couldn't tell you a Battlefield campaign to save my life.
I haven't played Cold Wars yet.
Then I did play Battlefield 1 campaign, but
I did play that actually.
The map, but they've not. It's been leaked essentially. If you Google Battlefield 6 leaks, you'll find everything. But anyways. The map is said to have reportedly hold 124 players, so massive. They'll have ospreys and robotic dogs and missiles that come out of the ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sharks with freaking laser beams.
Yeah, probably. So this is I take it it's not like a Korean War battlefield or anything.
This is modern future day.
Yeah. But
I'm excited for this just to see what they do because they're gonna have to do a battle royale.
Yeah. Well, the rumor is that it will be a battle royale in like February or something like that. So well after the game comes out.
Okay.
Which that's how Modern Warfare was. It came out and then a couple months later had Warzone.
But it'll be free to play also. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we'll see if it's a destructible terrain. If they really double down on that kind of stuff, yeah, I think that would be like the tilting edge that they would have.
The pinnacle of battle royale
over Warfare. Yeah. So. That's all I have. Let's move on to the meat and potatoes of today.
Star Trek.
Oh, yeah. That thing.
Okay. Regale me with your questions.
Well, explain the premise of the Next Generation.
All right, the Next Generation. So Star Trek takes place in like the 23rd, 24th century and 23rd century. After multiple world wars, the Federation doesn't exist yet, and this guy named Zephyr Cochrane creates a new spaceship that's able to traverse space at faster than light speed. And then he runs into, or he gets the attention of an alien species called the Vulcans, and they sit down on Earth and they talk and they make peaceful contact called First Contact, and they create from there on what's known as the Federation. So the most famous up-to-date crew with the the flagship of the Federation is the Enterprise, would be Kirk, and all of his crazy antics that he did in his 5-year voyage, mainly just sleeping with green ladies. But then you got
make your mark somewhere.
Then you got Picard, who did the Next Generation, which was my favorite show, and it was 7
seasons.
7 seasons, and for the most part. It was a lot more ethical. They asked a lot of philosophical questions, and it wasn't about action, stupid stuff, unless it needed to be. So,
I'll have to say, you convinced me or made me watch some of these.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're really not that bad. I have never watched
at
Star
your
Trek.
behest. I watched Next Generation, and I ended up just binging it. Like I got in like season 4.
Yeah.
To me, like some of the episodes are really boring, but some are really interesting.
Yeah.
So,
It's a show that gets better and better and better all the way to the end, and then it ends right on top.
Okay.
So very few shows do that.
Once Riker got the beard, I was sold.
The Riker lean.
And then when he like has a hard time for some reason getting in and out of chairs.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any questions just about the show in general? Not his like, not his trivia questions, but just about the show.
That'll come later.
Like that you didn't.
No, I mean,
Okay.
They do a really good job, I think, on that show of explaining. I mean, that was a show that was always on TV, on reruns or whatever when I was a kid. You know, if I was homesick or there was like, I was waiting for something else to come on. Mm-hmm. Star Trek: The Next Generation was on.
I had a few that I just wanted to ask because, like, I didn't find it in the episodes that I watched, but like, what official discoveries do they ever like present? Like, what do they ever actually discover anything?
Yes, I mean it's usually small stuff. It's hard to say, like, because each episode is like a standalone story, so they'll discover like new things, like new dimensional beings and stuff like that, and then they'll act like that never happened. The next episode, but more or less they discover resolutions for like bigger stories, like unification. That's a big thing. The Vulcans and the Romulans were an ancient species that split apart, and they needed to be unified again. And Picard helped oversee the unification and stuff. So like all these kind of like ethical, political war stuff like that.
Okay.
That's more or less what the TNG's about.
And then I kind of realized this as I was watching with it, but I was going to ask how Data is alive and one of a kind. But if you can kind of explain what makes, because I've figured that out, but if you can kind of explain what makes Data so special compared to other androids.
Well, there isn't really a sentient, sapient android. Okay, so Soon is this guy. He's like this. I don't even remember what his deal with Starfleet was, but he left and he like secluded himself into this planet, and there was people on that planet because this thing called the Crystal Entity, it's like this space organism, shows up and eats everybody on the planet. But Data lives because he's not human. Anyway, he was very closed off with his cybernetics work, and I guess he couldn't have kids, so that was his own way of procreating.
Okay.
And it's just like there's a whole episode called, it's not called Ethics, but anyways, there's an episode about Data where Starfleet tries to claim him as property, and Picard himself, his captain, comes in and declares him as life, and they it's actually really interesting because Riker is charged to be the prosecutor for against Data. So
I did see that episode. It was a very good episode.
Yeah.
All right. One of my other ones is all of Star Trek is connected somehow, right? Yes. Like as far as like it's all one story
timeline,
right?
Okay. Well, how? Like, is it just because they're part of the same group or what?
Well, okay. So you have the original series was around 100 years before The Next Generation. Okay, somewhere around there. And then you have The Next Generation. Okay, then you have Deep Space Nine that takes place at a space station at a far-off post where a wormhole opens up that takes you to a different part of the galaxy. Okay, that happens at the halfway point of The Next Generation series, and that's a spin-off show. And then you have Voyager. Voyager happens at the very end of The Next Generation, and it's about a very advanced deep space vessel that gets transported by some godlike entity to the other side of the galaxy, and at the rate that they could go at their fastest speed, it would take them 75 years to get back. So it's basically Gilligan's Island for Star Trek. And then you have Enterprise. Enterprise is a prequel series about the NX Enterprise, which is like the prototype Enterprise Zephyr Cochrane helps build at the end of his life, with Captain Archer being the first captain of the Starship Enterprise, it being the prototype. And that's like, I don't know, 2100 somewhere and around there.
Okay, so they're all essentially like
in a timeline.
Yeah, in one singular timeline. They're not like reboots and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then you have Discovery, which is even more convoluted. So yeah, it starts out before Kirk and then ends up as the most advanced time traveling, whatever.
Interesting.
Okay, and from what I saw out of the episodes I saw, how come they hardly ever refer to Earth? They refer to other planets and stuff.
Because the Federation is so big, like a lot of humans are born and lived and never have been to Earth. You know, there's and the Federation, it being an intermingling of species to unify under like a common cause, which is basically exploration and knowledge and learning instead of combat or greed and money and stuff like that. They don't really care, besides a culture appreciation, they don't really care about, like, I guess like a home value kind of thing. Okay. So, yeah.
This is kind of a minuscule question, but it made me wonder, what is Worf's sash for? Like, what is that?
So Klingons aren't really, I think Worf is the first, if not one of the first Klingons to go through Starfleet. Mm-hmm. And, maybe, and I think if I remember right, it's something to do with him being like a liaison to Klingons or something like that.
Okay.
I could be completely wrong, so I don't know.
Okay. How fast is a warp?
A warp is 1 light speed.
Which, light speed is...
So, like, the speed of light, and I'm guessing each warp is, as it goes up, is times that.
Well, in a way.
Sort of.
So it starts out like that, and then the science behind it gets kind of weird. Once you hit warp 9, technically you can't hit warp 10 because warp 10 is essentially infinity. So like you'd be everywhere at once. Mm-hmm. So like at one point they nixed that and they said no, now you can go to warp 13, which is a new gradient scale to explain how fast spaceships can go. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know, I think they kind of went back to it. It's kind of convoluted how there's a lot of contradictions.
And because we kind of fast forwarded when we watched, we moved up to the better seasons, you said. Mm-hmm. Like, what's some of the backstory for some of these? Like Riker, what's his backstory before like getting on the ship?
So he was a commander on the Pegasus and another ship. I can't remember the name of the other ship. The Pegasus was like a top secret ship where they were practicing phasing. That's a whole thing. I think the episode's called Pegasus. And they were trying to figure out how to phase material through material. And something bad happened. I won't spoil it. But
I remember the Stargazer one about
that's Picard's
ship.
Yeah. But yeah, everybody in a command position, or for the most part, has a prior service ship, and it kind of comes out in a subtle backstory here and there.
Okay.
So
that's really all I had.
You ready?
Yeah. All right. Hit me with it. Let me feel miserably here.
You go and then I'll go.
No, you go first.
Okay. What actor had an episode specifically written for them? Oh, wait. These are questions that if Hayden gets enough of them wrong, he gets punished.
Yeah.
In lieu of our wheel that we've kind of foregone for the last couple episodes.
You got some way to keep tally here of how many he gets wrong?
I don't have a pen. Let's see.
Check the pen jar behind you.
All right.
This is going to be embarrassing.
Here we go. What actor had an episode specifically written for them, but didn't appear on the episode due to other engagements?
I have heard of this.
And I'll give you a hint. It's a deceased person at this time.
Robin Williams.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right. What year is the first episode set?
2364?
Correct.
Well, unfortunately, you've already answered. Well, you might have answered this. In what century does the series take place?
The 23rd. So it would be the 24th century, right?
Yes.
You have to jump up.
I was hoping you'd get that wrong. You said the 23rd earlier, so I was like, Yeah. Okay.
The character Q appears in how many episodes?
11.
8.
No, damn it, it's 8. You're right. Somebody asked me that recently, and I said 11. And it was, all right, go ahead.
Now, the actor, what did Patrick Stewart hate about his captain's room on the actual set?
What?
There's one thing that he hated about his captain's room.
There was no windows?
the fish tank.
Oh, I thought they put the fish tank in because he didn't like the fact there was no windows.
No, he hated having a fish tank in a captain's room on a starship.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
What is the name of the creature that killed Tasha Yar?
Armis.
Yes.
He's doing better than we expected.
He probably took a bunch of quizzes.
The Next Generation takes place about how long after the original Star Trek?
I want to say 80 years. I don't know.
What would you like to be exact?
I can't remember, man. Let's say 82 years.
I don't know. It says about 100 years. So
Oh,
should we give that to him?
No, he's 20 off.
okay.
Okay. It's your turn.
Which of Picard's organs is artificial?
Heart.
Yeah, I knew that
Yeah.
one. Who was the biggest name considered to play Geordie LaForge? Like what actor was considered for that role before?
I don't know. This isn't Star Trek trivia. This is production trivia.
Well, it's a mix.
All right. Let me think.
You're a fan of the show. You're supposed to know this.
Prominent black guy in the 80s. Eddie Murphy.
Wesley Snipes.
Oh, you know what? I did hear about that. Man, that show would have tanked.
It'd have been a lot different.
Yeah. LeVar Burton you can't replace him.
How many decks does the Enterprise D have?
39.
42.
Darn it. The next one has 39. E has 39.
What is the true goal of the Borg?
To assimilate all life forms
To achieve perfection.
by assimilating all life forms. All right.
What is the name of the first human-made warp-capable ship?
The first human made. That would be Zephyr Cochrane's. I don't remember what he named that. It's something. It's gonna be something stupid like an island.
I don't
know. The Bahama. I don't remember. What is it?
Phoenix.
Frakes. That's what it was. Darn it.
Which are the only two characters to appear in all 178 episodes?
Stewart and Frakes.
Like, what is the characters?
Picard and Riker.
Okay. I didn't know Riker's actual name, like his actor name. Okay, yeah, that was right.
What class of ship was the Enterprise E?
Sovereign.
Yes. How'd you know that?
What was the Enterprise's sister ship called?
The Yangtze?
No.
Darn it.
The USS Yamato.
Yamato. Darn it.
How many years did Picard command the Stargazer?
Oof. That is a tough one. Let's say 8 years.
22.
Darn it.
Oh, so close.
Golly. He commanded the Stargazer for 22 years?
The internet doesn't lie. Abe Lincoln said that.
Because he's like, I guess he's, 40?
Wait, he was like in his 50s when the show started.
I think he was in his late 40s. I don't know. Go ahead. Yeah.
My last question is, what is Picard's fish named?
Lionel.
Livingston.
Lionel?
It's a lionfish, so I was just going to go for it.
Lionel. Who briefly commanded the Enterprise while Picard was captured by the Cardassians?
It would be, if it's not Riker, it's Jellicoe. I'm trying to remember what season this is.
I do not know what season this is.
I'm going to say it's Jellicoe.
You are correct.
All right.
All right, so you've gotten 8 out of 10. Or
Darn.
8 out of 20, sorry.
Darn it.
I still had one more question left.
Oh, okay.
Go for it.
It doesn't matter. He's mathematically eliminated. But
Double or nothing. How about that one?
well, this was my 10th question.
Okay.
And it was who built Data?
Soon.
What was his first name?
It's not like, darn it. I don't remember. Noonian soon, yeah. I knew it was sounded like soon.
And in lieu of getting punished, I will give you a double or nothing question.
Okay.
Did you have one of those?
Go with yours because he probably knows mine.
How much storage capacity does Data have?
1,000 terabytes.
No. 100,000 terabytes. He has 100 petabytes, which is 100,000 terabytes.
I thought it was 1,000 terabytes.
I'll ask you my question for just kicks.
All right.
What's the max speed achieved by the Enterprise D?
Well,
that's debatable because
This is from the Star Trek website.
I told him you couldn't include the one where the guy moved them, like helped move them. This is all ship power.
9.7.
9.5.
Darn it. All right. Well, I tried. I know.
You gave a great effort.
I think I gave. I think I gave it that I know enough to have a conversation. But there's some Star Trek nerds out there that I was listening to a podcast with these guys talking about trivia, and I was like, I don't even know who these characters are.
These dudes are making crap up.
Yeah. I had to look and make sure I was looking up next generation questions.
I could have sworn it was 1,000 terabytes.
When I looked it up, this was in the IMDb trivia that I found that. So,
what's a? You said 100 petabytes?
Yeah, it equals 100,000 terabytes.
All right.
'Cause that's what I double checked to make sure.
All right.
So basically, every single person who's gone against the gauntlet of trivia has lost.
Yeah, but
Yes.
I lost miserably.
We are not proficient in what we thought we were.
We need to do a cheesy redemption round.
It's you for next week's episode. We're doing DC again. Okay, cool.
All right, so you want me to punish him?
Yeah, go ahead.
You have to watch Delgo.
Oh man,
What is that?
That's on my
Another
list.
animated box office bomb. Delgo took in just $500,000 in its debut weekend and appeared on 2,100 screens. The $40 million production.
Yeah, it stars Freddie Prinze Jr. And stuff.
Oh, that's the one that you kept waiting to punish.
That's why I threw it right at him.
Justice.
Let's see. Can a trailer be found?
I'm sure it can.
It can be.
In fact, I know it can because I looked it up for you. It's Avatar. It's just like the movie Avatar.
Two opposing races forged a peace they thought would last forever.
Arr.
They were wrong.
They were wrong.
When a forgotten enemy returns,
It looks like a cross between the original Planet of the Apes and A Bug's Life.
Yeah.
And Shrek.
Yeah.
All right. I get it. Whatever. Aliens fighting. They're like fairy people or whatever.
Yep.
Okay. Well, tune in for the next week's episode. This was episode 60, right?
Was it? What episode is this?
This was 57.
Oh, well.
Oh.
Okay. Well, tune in for episode 58 to give my exciting, thrilling review on Delgo and to watch Mitch lose miserably to DC trivia.
About Batman.
About Batman.
Goodbye from Mitch.
Bye, Mitch.
Goodbye from Tom.
Bye, Tom.
Goodbye from you. Goodbye.
So we know nothing about what we thought we knew a lot about. Oh, yeah.